What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. Getting into the late afternoon now. We've got ourselves our first Seattle Seahawks injury report of the week. So let's take a look. It's coming from Nemhauser's account, as we do quite often on this channel. And it's pretty substantial, but it's not all bad news either. In fact, there's some news here that I think may surprise people that I would say would surprise them in a positive way, a good way. And then we also have the Cardinals injury report, so we're going to take a look at both. Keep in mind today is Wednesday, so therefore I wouldn't take anything here too seriously. You got to push into Thursday before you start getting concerned one way or the other, really, I think. So, couple of highlights here. I guess the first highlight, the first thing you notice is Cooper Kupp still not participating in practice. Back in 60 seconds. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips. And of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today, get to it, and go have some fun with sports this year. Welcome back. So yeah, Cooper Kupp not participating yet. He hasn't been put on injured reserve, so you have to believe that he'll be back in the relatively near future here. Maybe not this week, but you have to believe it's not overly serious if we're not putting him on injured reserve. But for the moment, not participating, and it seems like a realistic possibility that he might miss another game this week. Again, when you sign Cooper Kupp, you're kind of aware of the fact that he's going to miss some games, and you make your peace with that. Also not participating was Josh Jobe. That was to be expected, though, because he has a concussion. When you get a concussion, you usually miss the next game. So I'm not really expecting him to play this week either. And also not participating in practice today were the two depth receivers, Jake Bobo with his calf and Derek Young with his quadricep, both not participating. But there was some good news there. McDonald said earlier today that putting either player on injured reserve was not really a consideration. So there is belief that both guys are going to be back sooner rather than later. Now, at this point, what do they really bring to the table? Not a ton. Derek Young, I mean, his main value was a kick returner, and now we have Shaheed. I don't think Derek Young's going to be doing as much kick returning. And Bobo still adds some stuff on special teams, but it's certainly replaceable. So it's not like we're on pins and needles for these two guys, but it is worth noting that they are currently both not participating in practice. All right. Limited participants, we got a new one here with AJ Barner with the calf injury. Now, being limited on Wednesday is a pretty good sign that you're more or less fine, but he was not on the injury report last week, and he didn't explicitly get injured in that game against the Commanders. So, is worth monitoring, is worth keeping track of, hoping that by the time we get to the end of the week, he's practicing in full. Also limited was Ernest Jones, and this is definitely good news because after the injury and the way they were talking about him in the days following the injury, there was a sense, I think, that he was probably going to miss a couple of games, at least a game. If he's limited on Wednesday, that's a very good sign that he at least has a really good shot of being available on Sunday. And even if he ends up not being available, it speaks very well to his ability to be back for the Rams game, which is, I think, when Seahawks fans really want to make sure they have him. That's when it really starts to matter a lot. So, Ernest Jones, that's a big one. The fact that he's limited the Wednesday after whatever it was that happened to him. They're calling it a knee, but specifically, we don't know exactly what it is. That's big. That is very, very big. Full participants, we had Arroyo. That's a new name on the injury report, but practicing in full doesn't seem like a big deal. Christian Haynes, he was full all last week. They're probably just going to keep him on the inactive list because they don't need him yet, but I do imagine he'll get activated next week, if I had to guess. Torrey Horton, full participant with a groin injury, so whatever it is isn't too bad, but another new name on the injury report for whatever that's worth. And then we got Jarran Reed, who missed some practice last week with the wrist injury. Now he's a full participant. If I move out of the way here, you can see that. So full participant, Jarran Reed. So seems like he's fine. Seems like he's good. And he did seem a little bit hampered in that game against Washington. So it's good that he's starting to move past it. That's all we can say for the Seahawks. It's not too bad. You'd like it to be better, of course, but really this isn't all that bad. Okay, so the Cardinals side of things, they've got a decently long list as well. One thing that's worth noting is they played on Monday. So this is I believe a walkthrough. Yeah, it's a walkthrough. So the information provided here is not necessarily super informative. I would definitely wait until tomorrow before you make any conclusions here, even more so than for the Seahawks. I don't think the Seahawks had a super hard practice either, but the Cardinals was just a straight walkthrough. And they've got a bunch of limited participants. And again, limited usually means you're going to be good to go by game day most of the time, but they have quite a few. And then you've got 3 DNPs. You've got Kelvin Beachum, who was resting because he's old. You've got Max Melton with a concussion, so that's definitely worth monitoring. Everybody gets through concussion protocol at their own pace, but I would say that Melton, the fact that he's a DNP on Wednesday going through the concussion protocol, that probably means he's not going to play, if I had to guess from that. But we'll see how quickly he gets through. And then you got Mac Wilson with the ribs injury, did not participate as well. So that's the main stuff. You got Buda Baker with the hamstring, limited. Keitrell Clark, limited. Keaton Crawford, backup safety for them, limited. Will Hernandez, one of their starting offensive linemen, limited. Will Johnson, he's been battling injuries all year. He's been very good when he plays, though. Limited. Zay Jones, limited. Ojulari, limited. And Xavier Weaver, limited. So I would expect most, if probably even all of those guys to play. They may not be 100% effective, but you're probably going to see all those guys out there. I don't... the only reason why there might be something different would be because they played on Monday. And playing on Monday and then swinging back around and trying to play the next Sunday, sometimes that injury that you normally would have worked your way through, you don't quite work your way through it the way you expect. All right, that's about it. I would almost take the Cardinals side of things with a grain of salt because it's, by their own admission, a complete walkthrough, and the practice report's an estimation. But the Seahawks side of things, we get some good stuff, we get some bad stuff. It all kind of balances out. And yeah, that's what we're sitting on right now. So I will see you guys later today. I have a couple more videos that I'm going to be making today. They're going to be posted later, but I will be posting them. Keep an eye out, and I will see you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think down below. That is your injury report for today.